Today, we tackle the Olympics and their postponement. My name is Mike Perkins, and to my left is Eric Pessolano, and to my right is Chuck Lasik, and we're coming in hot. Welcome to Comin In Hot. My name is Mike Perkins, and to my left is Eric Pessolano. To my right is Chuck Laser Lasik. And today we're going to be talking about the postponement of the 2020 Olympics, and they're going to be rescheduled for 2021. And we're going to get these two guys' take on this. Eric?
Yeah, I think they did the right thing.
Why?
It needed to be postponed.
Why?
It was unsafe to do so.
Gosh, here we
facilities weren't done. Mostly because it was unsafe to do so. The pandemic was spreading way too quickly. They need to move it to next year. It'll be fine. They'll make it. Everything will be okay. The next question will be, will they be held in 2021? But for right now, I think the postponement was the right thing to do.
This is already contentious. Chuck, what do you got?
Basically, I put the whole onus on the country of Japan right there. Honestly, they've had 4 years to prepare for it, get ready for it, and now they have a fifth year. This thing should go off seamless.
See, and I disagree with that because they've lost time getting
They have
ready
not
because
lost
of this
time.
pandemic.
They have not lost time.
They absolutely have
They
lost
have not
time.
lost time. They
They
have
didn't-
Zoom. They have all this other stuff. They have
You
plenty
can
of
build an Olympic venue over Zoom?
No, I'm not talking about that, but I'm just talking about all the volunteers and people like that. Everything should be fine.
You can't have all those people in the same place.
Oh my goodness, here we go.
Okay, guys, hold on here. Let's
Is there an
let's-
election in Japan
let's-
coming up too? I'm just wondering.
Let's get into this here. Our first question comes from Patrick Alog, and he wants to know: do you think the Tokyo Olympics will actually happen in 2021? And we've already hit on this a little bit here, so let's move a little bit further into it. My thought is this: is that yes, it does give this enough time for Japan to get ready for it. In fact, it gives them a little extra time to make sure that some of the venues are up to speed and they have their volunteers in place. And for me, I think it's going to happen.
I think a few months extra time doesn't matter in the grand scope of everything, which is why I was telling Chuck that I don't think that they have extra time, but I do think they are going to happen. I think they have taken the right steps to make sure that the safety protocols are there. They've been watching all these other leagues start back up again and kind of taking tidbits from here and there. They've got to implement them in their own area, especially with the entire world watching. The entire world isn't watching Major League Baseball. The entire world isn't watching the Korean Baseball Organization. The entire world is watching the Olympics. And actually, like Chuck said, they have to get it right.
No, they have no choice. Honestly.
But if they don't, I think they're going to be fine.
No, I think it's a colossal fail.
I think they're
Failure.
going to get some leeway.
Colossal failure. No, absolutely not. I mean, they've had plenty of time. I mean, 4 years is plenty of time to build, or basically build your arenas, whatever your what do they call it? Venues, basically for that. Everything should be tip top. I mean, it's not Russia where they had half completed and stuff like that going through.
Yeah, but this has happened in other places, Chuck, where they've needed extra time to get things done. They haven't, plenty of places over the years when it comes to hosting Olympics have not done a good job with their volunteers. They have not been very organized, and this is always the contentious part about choosing a host for the Olympics is, can you put it together so it goes off seamlessly? There's always going to be little hiccups here or there, but
Japan had no problems with Nagano.
I was going to say, this is Japan. It's going to be the first one since the Winter Olympics in Nagano in '98. But this is Japan we're talking about. They are an organized culture. We've seen that everything they put on
they're
usually
perfectionists.
goes off
There's no doubt
without a
about
hitch.
that. So looking back, what is the last Olympics that you thought went off well?
I mean, Beijing in '08 went off really
yeah.
well. I know there's a lot of humanitarian issues that go on behind all that, but from what everybody gets to see on television,
Oh, it was pretty.
it looked good.
It was pretty.
The events didn't have any issues. There wasn't any green water like there was in Rio
Yeah.
in 2016.
And that was the drinking water too. So
It's the drinking water. All right, moving along, guys. Second question from @Ronald Holguin. He asked, do you think any future Olympics will be affected by the 2020 Olympics postponement? Meaning, if we go to 2021, well, then we move to 2025, and then 2029. Well, is that the route it's going to go? Then are we going to have Winter Olympics in 2022 or push that to 2023? So at least for me, I think it's going to stay on course. We're going to keep the traditional path of keep it at 2020 and then 2022, then 2024,
Yeah,
and
I
then
think
so on and so forth. So I think that's really where we're going to stick to it moving forward.
I think so too, because I believe that if the 2021 Summer Olympics can't be presented safely, they're just going to cancel them, and then we'll be back on the regular rotation anyway. In 2024, which will be the next Summer Olympic in Paris, and then 2028, it's going to come to our backyard in LA. But I don't think it's going to mess with the timeline at all. Some World Championships and some other sporting events that would usually go on in next summer may have to be moved around a little bit, but it's not going to mess with the Olympic timeline.
So that's a big question for me, Chuck. Before we get to you on this point, how does this affect World Championships? You know, a lot of the qualifiers that go into for the athletes themselves into participating in Olympics, you have to go through the qualification process, and you have to go to World Championships or your regional championships, European, Asian, American, North American, South American championships, to be able to get through those processes to get to the Olympics. How is this going to affect that now?
It might affect some dates. They might shift things around. For qualification purposes, look, everybody's been dealt the same hand here. You've got to figure out how to navigate without holding events that you're accustomed to. If you look at NASCAR, there's no practices and no qualifying right now. And they're just racing every few days, it seems like. They've had to figure out a way of how you're going to place these cars every day. It's the same thing with the Olympics. Yes, it's a much bigger event. I understand that. When you're talking about actually getting people to go to an event that only happens once every 4 years, it may be their only shot. But if it comes down to like standings during the season or whatever that you wouldn't normally use, they're just going to have to do it just to keep everything back in line.
Chuck, what would you do with qualification type situations? Would you allow the countries themselves to nominate the athletes that they want to
I think you'd
participate?
almost have to go by basically, and I believe they kind of do this already, don't they? Go by continent basis and basically take away probably the number one ranked teams and going through like that.
Or athletes, yes.
In the Olympics, it's by country, so they'll go country by country. The continent thing is a lot for like the World Cup.
Well, basically, I think they should
add.
add.
Well,
that's
it's
what
for extra qualifiers, right? So
I don't think they're going to have time to put in extra qualifiers. They might have to just use what they already have.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to probably have to use CONCACAF points. You're going to have to use a lot of stuff. Like for our region, we'll have to use CONCACAF points. Whatever they use in Europe, I'm not sure what they do with all. UEFA. That's right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. But I honestly, they'll take their money somehow, so it doesn't make a difference.
all right, moving on here. This one here is from Facebook. Gary Perez asks, what will the IOC do about athletes protesting during Olympic award ceremonies? I mean, obviously this is a highly contentious point. I've always felt the IOC has done a pretty good job by the way of the athlete and in respect to their political stands. We've seen different things over the years come to pass through the Olympics, and not specifically protesting, but making political statements in some way, shape, or form. I think we'll still see some of that. There'll always be a part of that. You're on a world stage. This is just part of the Olympic process. It gives an athlete, a little bit of their 15 minutes of fame, which I don't particularly care for, but it is what it is. We will see some athletes make some political statements, that's for sure.
Oh, definitely. You know what? Athletes going to probably make their money anyway. They're going to have or basically winners are going to make their money. They're going to be on their own stage
Depending
already.
on the country.
That's true.
They don't all make money for winning. It is an amateur sport after all.
And not every country is allowed,
That's true.
their athletes aren't all of them allowed to have a public statement, and there would be some ramifications when they went home if they were.
Maybe they don't go home. So who knows? I mean,
which has happened in the past.
Yeah, exactly.
Most definitely.
Look,
asylum.
The Olympics have always been a stage for cultures to express themselves and their opinions and have it broadcast to the rest of the world.
1968, Tommy Smith and John Carlos, basically, the golden bronze medal winners. They with the power, at that time.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen again, and probably more so with everything going on right now. And I do not think the IOC is going to stop any of it. And from a much more much more controversial note, it's just great television too. So, and I think with as far as being televised in the States with NBC, they're going to be all over it, and they're going to cover it. But I don't think it was.
You know how dry the IOC can be, though. They only care about making their money themselves. They really don't care about that. I could see them kind of putting a band down and putting their foot down right there and trying to just negate it all. And I basically think they're going to trip.
I don't think
they're going to do that.
I don't
you
think
really?
so
I
either.
I think
never
it draws
know.
eyes.
You know,
It draws eyes.
The IOC never ceases to amaze you how dumb they can be.
That I agree with.
That-
That
Wow.
point right there, I agree with. The
That's
IOC does
that's
not
a true
cease-
statement.
Yeah.
That's why I said before.
I mean,
like when it comes to the athlete, I think they allow them to do whatever they want. They don't want to cause that controversy by telling them that they can't do something.
And I don't think they want to tell them that they can do something either. I think they're, they got to be,
Switzerland?
neutral. I was
Wow.
staying away from that. I'll let you say it. But they've got to be neutral. They are the neutral governing body here, and they're going to let everybody kind of do what they want, so long as it doesn't hurt anybody else, physically and emotionally. I think they should be fine. The athletes.
All right. At Jane Trophy asks, what country do you expect to win the most medals in? You ready?
Oh no.
Equestrian.
Oh, wait, time out. I thought we said no stupid questions. Honestly, who came up with this one? Seriously. What?
I'm not going to repeat.
Wow.
I'm not going to
First of
repeat
all,
the name.
Way to alienate a viewer.
No, isn't that great? Making friends.
And somebody
taking
who
names and making
contributed
friends.
to our show,
I should-
and you go out there. Jane, that's an excellent question. And to answer it, I'll start. I have no idea. I don't watch equestrian. I do sometimes. All I know is that Germany and France have been okay at the equestrian competition the last few times. I've watched more Olympics
And
in the
Great
last few
Britain
years.
and the U.S. have
Great
been
Britain's
okay.
good. U.S. won 3 medals 4 years ago. It'll be 5 years ago by the time we get to 2021. But, that's about the extent that I know. I've heard of dressage. I hear it's a word.
Yes, and
I-
who won it though?
I don't have a clue.
What-
Charlotte Desjardins from Great Britain last time.
Look
don't-
at you
What
over here
I
knowing your
did
stuff and
what
not
I
clearly
didn't know was
concealing
that
notes
there's
on
actually
camera.
6 different events in equestrian.
Well, there's
that,
actually
that I
three
didn't
with
know.
three events with team and then individual.
Correct.
Yes. You have the
And-
dressage, you have the jumping, and I forget the
And
last
no,
one.
and no separation between male and female.
No, it's
Nope, they all compete
Yeah.
on a level
Yeah.
playing
But
field.
who is the basically Tiger Woods of equestrian? You guys know?
Tiger Woods of equestrian.
I don't know.
Germany's
Really?
Michael Jung.
Is that right?
Yes,
From what nation?
from Germany.
Oh, okay.
Well,
And do you know who's won the most medals
Individually or by country?
by country?
Germany.
Or Great Britain?
Nope. Well, Germany, yes and no, because they've been tied with the great old USA, 52 apiece.
Oh,
Really?
You think?
Except the one thing is, though, Germany as a
East and
united
West.
country, there's some added ones right there, but basically, well, I guess when they're East or West or something like that, or they had them combined right there. So I think there's like a 6 medal difference between that point. But you know what? Hitler might have been around at the time. I might have been jacking up the, or, it could have been when the Berlin Wall could have been jacking up the horses like they did the women back there. So we never know.
Where do we get there?
What?
What I wanted to say is this: is that unfortunately, equestrian for me has been the sport that when I'm flipping through the channel of Olympics, I see it, I watch for a couple minutes ago,
I have no idea what's going on here.
Well, I think it's kind of neat that
That was a beautiful
they're
prance.
jumping over some obstacles and they're trying to get through the course on a specific time, but time really isn't a part of the factor, but it's not all the factor, correct?
Sure.
No, but there's dressage. It doesn't sound like it's a time factor. Basically, it's presentation and what you do, how they prance,
like a dog
and stuff
show.
like
And-
that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's part race, part dog show, part
Jumping.
jumping.
Yes.
Look, and we're not here to put down the sport, okay? We're just saying we don't know about it. So, Jane, thank you for the question. We appreciate you contributing, and we're going to have to do a lot more research next time.
we got to move on from that one
Hey,
because
you
we
didn't
really
even know- I know
sound-
Michael Jung.
We
I mean,
sound
how many-
pretty
how
dumb.
many
You
people-
know it. You've got
I
a piece
knew
of paper
Michael-
by
I
your
know,
leg
I'm just
looking
saying,
at notes.
Hey, you know what? Hey, I came prepared. That's
All
all I
right,
could say.
all right. This one's from Boy
Nothing but
Gloom,
preparation.
Instagram. Who are the Team USA medal hopefuls for track and field for the 2020 Olympics? And I'm going to tell you right now, as much as I enjoy track and field, I have no clue.
Didn't on our last show you talked about watching YouTube videos?
Yeah, but
track and field during
I
the
don't.
pandemic?
I don't watch enough that I remember the names of,
Oh, all right.
of everybody.
So you're just like, oh, that's cool, and then move
well,
on to the
it's
next
cool, and then I move on to the next video. But I've watched a lot of the old ones, so a lot of the athletes are already out the door. They're done.
All right.
All right. So,
That makes sense.
but I don't know. Do you have an answer for this?
Track and field, I mean, for me, I've always watched the sprinters, but that's the obvious
got
answer
one for
here.
you. I got one.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that in a second. But for
No,
me, I'm
okay.
looking at the marathoners.
Oh my God.
Galen Rupp. who won a
let's
Yeah,
medal
but-
4
back to-
years
you know,
ago.
Hey, but
Only
he's getting,
time the
he's getting
marathon-
old.
He is, but he qualified.
The only time
He
the
won
marathon was
qualifying.
exciting
Is
was
he
when
40
Mary
yet?
Decker Slaney got tripped by Zola
No,
Budd.
he
That
might-
was the last time I watched a marathon.
He
Seriously.
might be 40, right?
I'm sorry, am I getting it from all angles there?
I'm
Just
that's what I'm
trying to
saying.
answer. You know, Boy Gloom comes out here and asks a nice question about track and field athletes. Now all of a sudden I'm getting
I never
hammered.
expect you to watch a marathon.
Who said I watched it?
Well, we
I
watched
just know
it.
Like I
that
said-
Hey,
the USA.
Like I said, I watched in
team member
'84
won
when
it.
Zola
You
Budd
wa-
tripped
you
Mary
watched the
Decker
last
Slaney, and she
100
came
yards.
up, "Wah," and all that stuff. But that was
Do you
it.
not
yeah.
watch the last 100 yards of a marathon?
If I have to, yeah, honestly, it doesn't excite me. I mean, geez, you've seen them run for the last 3 hours
And remember,
and 15
I'm
minutes.
from
before that.
Boston. Marathon's
especially-
ingrained in my culture.
Especially
okay?
when they're wobbling around,
Exactly.
you know, they're
Oh, that there was that scene too for that. I forget where that woman from was, like from Brazil or something like that, where she crossed it back in the '84 too, where she was dehydrated and stuff like that. So that had somewhat of a human element, which actually kind of touched my
All right, let's
heart.
move on to sprinting now. Who are your sprinters that you were going to mention?
Noah Lyles. Basically, he's right now on 200, and get this, he is the only man to run under a 19.7 in the 200 next to Usain Bolt,
Usain Bolt.
and he's done it 4 times.
Noah has, or Usain Bolt did it for
No,
him?
Noah has.
Wow. That's a good one. You've already got me convinced. I'm going to look out for this guy.
pretty good little stat there. I guess the only thing that I know is that we have some pretty good sprinters at the U23 level, which they're probably not making the Olympic team at this
Not
stage.
quite yet.
Not quite yet.
We'll see him in Paris.
One particular Matt Bowling from Texas, who's at the University of Georgia, who's a pretty big sensation on the internet right now. He's fun to watch.
You've been watching. That's right. You've been watching
You've
all
been
that
watching the YouTubes.
YouTubes. Yeah.
So that is one name that I do remember, but I don't think he's making the Olympic team.
They had some of the qualifying was down in Atlanta. You know, for I think the marathon had their qualifying down there.
We're back to the marathon again.
Exactly.
And
was that pre or post riot?
and
Sorry.
the 50-kilometer walk. You guys know about race walking.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to keep
which is
one
running.
Foot, you have
which
to
is
keep.
run-
Yeah, no, you have to
Gotta
keep
keep
one
a foot on the ground
at all times,
Otherwise, you get carded.
and then you really shake. On
God,
the
I hope.
backside.
I sure hope they show this
Right?
stuff at night so I can sleep. Honestly, it helped me sleep.
Everything's
fall
going to be at
asleep.
night. It's in Tokyo.
Okay, that's true.
Switching over to another event. At Aaron M. Hughes wants to know, with 2020 Olympics being postponed, is it possible the soccer tournament won't see the big name U23 players?
And he says U23 players. He's obviously referring to the men. There's no age limit on the women's side. So
Oh, look
it's
at you.
it's
My goodness.
possible that some of these players who are the higher level athletes who play in Europe and such may not want to go to the Olympics based on their summer training and other tournaments that got pushed around, and they expected to be there this summer, but now it's got moved to next summer, and they could be focusing on their professional careers and not so much their amateur careers by then. So who knows? I mean, Team USA.
So answer me this.
Was this question based on Team USA or just the whole tournament in
just the
general?
whole tournament in general?
Okay.
I'm basing my answer on Team USA.
My question is, with the U23 players, do they really want to go to the Olympics? I mean,
Yes.
has Olympics been a big thing in the soccer world? I don't.
You
Not
wear,
when-
you
not
wear
when
your
you're
flag
US.
on your chest, you're going to go play.
I'm not a huge soccer fan. I enjoy the game, but it's been my understanding that soccer's really not.
It's more of a,
the Olympic side
World
of
Cup.
it is
No, the
not.
World
yeah,
Cup,
the
yeah.
World Cup
The
is
World
the big
Cup
thing.
is
right?
soccer's
Yeah,
big
yeah.
event.
The countryside, but also the club championships as well.
Yeah, and it's a bigger deal on the women's side, the Olympics are.
Exactly, because we win.
Well, yeah,
we
here
win.
in the
yeah,
States,
yeah, we win. And that's the only reason why I watch it. We win there. Why else watch it?
We're not very good on the men's side.
We are not very good. on the
Exactly.
men's
That's
side.
why I was
That
saying
starts
with the
at
men's
bottom.
side, why would you want to go to, why would you want to go down and get your butt kicked, 0-4, or 0-2 barbecue, whatever it is. Who knows,
I don't know what the hell he's talking about, but
No,
anyway,
no,
with the
USA, man. USA,
Team
man.
USA.
Team USA, man.
Did you say 2 in barbecue?
0-2 and barbecue, yeah.
I know. Well, 0-2 in barbecue is the softball terminology. So
Could be a
Wow.
USA soccer terminology.
Hey,
too.
softball coming back for the Olympics in 2020.
That's right.
fast pitch softball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As
Is it
an
great?
I think it's going to be an exhibition sport. It won't be a medal sport
What
yet.
a great game!
Oh yeah.
I
And
love
of
it.
course they brought it back.
It is
Remember
fast paced. It's quick.
who won the
Not to-
last
not to
Olympic
get off topic
softball
here.
match? The gold medal match in 2012.
I'm going to say Japan.
It was Japan. Who'd they beat?
U.S.
That's correct. Notice it's coming back in Tokyo for 2021.
And that's women's fast pitch softball.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever seen men's fast pitch softball?
Yes.
Yes.
They're pretty good, too.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're getting away from the question, though.
I'm sorry.
But for Team USA in soccer on the men's side, our developmental program here in the U.S. it's awful.
No,
It's not good.
Boy, I was gonna say subpar. Okay.
No, it's awful.
Yeah.
There's a reason why
did we not
we
have
get it
one of
handed
the
to us
best?
every national
Exactly,
tournament we
yeah.
go to.
Did we not have one of the best soccer players of all time at the helm of U.S. soccer?
Landon Donovan.
No,
Jurgen Klinsmann.
from Germany,
Jurgen Klinsmann.
and
And even he couldn't fix it.
he basically
That's true.
he basically left throwing his arms in the air because
He'd had it with the U.S. Soccer Federation.
he had it with the whole process.
Yeah.
They make the
Because
IOC look like geniuses.
We weren't willing to change. In fact, he lived right here in our neighborhood. I know he lived down in this area here someplace.
Don't disclose our location. The last thing we need is people coming
Yeah.
over here and letting us have it.
Yeah.
I already get enough from you two.
This
I
is
don't need anybody
CIH
outside.
Studios.
The CIH Studios. No, I mean the U.S. Soccer Federation. They don't do a ton of grassroots development camps. I mean, they do camps. They don't really care about every kid.
It's
They
a
care
coach's
about
money
the
grab.
individual good kids, and it's a coach's money thing. And they don't do that in other countries. They're there to get better and win a World Cup. And we're
from
just
what
not
I
in that
understand,
business.
a lot of the other countries they have academies where these athletes are going and they're basically living there. They're training. They're doing their schooling. They're doing their weight training.
Yep.
They're hanging with their teams all the
They
time.
breathe the game.
Yep.
We don't do that here. On the women's
We
side,
do in hockey.
On the women's side,
By
we
the
just
way.
have, our athletes are just naturally gifted, and they just go out there and, there's a lot of countries that don't have women's soccer
Nowadays,
because
Germany's
of
gone, yes.
other reasons. But Germany's a good a good opponent for the U.S. They always give them a run for their money. But the U.S. usually comes out on top. They train better. They're more fun to watch, if you ask me.
Yeah, I'd rather watch a women's game than a men's game any day.
Yeah.
'Cause men dance too much. Women's more like hockey, where they sit there and they'll knock the crap out of each other. Men's they'll sit there and just prance around and dance around with the ball. I think it's more.
I think just from my understanding of the soccer world a little bit is that everybody has their piece of the pie of making the money off the development and growth of the game, and nobody's piece of the pie wants to be impeded upon. A couple blocks from my house there was a park, and there was a German coach, in fact, that was doing lessons over there, and he'd have 10 to 12 athletes every night. He had these lights that he put in the park so they practiced till 10, 11 o'clock at night. And I'm not sure the exact prices that he was charging these players.
That was hourly.
But I bet you it was hourly too. But he had kids moving through there left and right from like 5 o'clock in the evening till 10, 11 o'clock at night. Every night they were practicing on the field, doing lots of training and stuff. So I do think that there is a bit of that aspect.
Well, there's no money in
hard
the
to
US. There's no money in the US.
That's hard to overcome. But I see it in another
For
sport.
soccer.
I see it in other sports too, where whether it's I see it in hockey, I see it in tennis, where the individualized training has become such a fabric of the development of the athlete that when it comes to doing an academy structure like this, like a lot of the European countries and South American countries that are doing with soccer, that a lot of these coaches are just not for it. They keep their athletes away from that because they don't want to lose the money from what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we're not going to win anytime soon, if ever.
I don't think we will. Won't happen in my lifetime.
I agree. Same.
I mean, what?
I don't really have much else to say.
I mean,
other than that.
answer me this. What does our U23 team look like in the U.S.?
We have one.
That's about it. Yeah.
I mean,
about it.
do we compete? I mean,
Last time I checked, I
Middle
think
of
we
the
were
road.
like we're 500, basically. I think we're like 2-2 or 4-4, something like that.
Well, they didn't qualify in
Is- yeah,
2016
yeah.
for Rio.
so qualification for us is CONCACAF.
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Yes.
And is that just the Americas, or is that just North America and Central America
And the Caribbean.
and the Caribbean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can't forget the Trinidad and Tobagoans.
Jamaica, Cuba. There's more countries. We don't need to go through all of them.
Yeah.
But you get the idea. What you need to know is there's 7 or 8 teams in CONCACAF that are better than the U.S.
Easily.
Maybe 4 or 5.
And probably
I
with
was-
the
being hyperbolic there.
population of not even Anaheim, honestly, 200,000 people. That's about it.
There should be no reason why we're not a major player in soccer.
I agree.
You're right. There isn't. We have.
You know what? And they've tried to push it. But the problem is, like I said, there's no money in soccer in the U.S.
But we have the facilities to do
we
it.
have
They
the
just
facilities.
choose
No
not
one's
to use
going
them
to
the
watch
right
it,
way.
though. No one's going to watch. Who the hell's going to watch soccer here? Seriously.
The other part
a
is
whole nother show.
I believe we have the athletes.
I do too.
You know, I've been around this country.
But you
I've
need 11 of them.
I've coached in a lot of different places across the U.S. We have tremendous athletes, whether it's in Texas, whether it's in Montana, whether it's in California, which, by the way, a little stat I'm going to throw at you guys is that if Orange County was its own country in the last Summer Olympics, it would have been 6th in the medal count.
That's a good stat.
I like that. That's
So,
Wow.
you know,
And that's not counting baseball or softball, which we know is a hotbed
Yeah,
out here.
exactly.
Could have even been higher.
I got to mention that a large portion of that was two sports, swimming and gymnastics,
Mhm.
which is obviously huge around here. But just the sheer number of medals won from this region is pretty darn
Oh,
impressive.
yeah, Jen Evans can walk down the street.
You know, and I make this statement, and it's not to discount other places around the country, because I do think, like I said, there's great athletes all over the place. But I do see a lot of great athletes here in Orange County, Southern California in general, whether it's football, basketball, baseball. I think there's so many great athletes. I just don't see any reason why soccer cannot flourish here and really explode here, which I think it
I can
is.
understand why here, but you know why it happens here? It's because they can train all 4 seasons of the year.
Well, I think that's with football and baseball as well.
Baseball, you can't train 4 or not in
On the East Coast.
not East Coast,
No,
not in, the,
no,
in Minnesota. Go
No,
out and
no,
hit a
but you
curveball
can't.
in the
No,
middle
but
of
you can
December?
hear. Yeah, you can hear. Yeah. So.
Well, that's that. No, the U.S. will not do well in the Olympics. They might qualify this time
In soccer.
in soccer, but they probably won't do well. I hope they do.
I do too. I hope they do well. I just don't see it.
Any speculation on any other sports that the U.S. is a part of that we've had success in the past?
Women's soccer.
Swimming is a big one
Oh,
for us.
we'll sweep swimming again. I mean, you can bring up all the names again. Was it Ledecky or something like that?
Katie Ledecky.
Yeah, you have them all coming through. We'll sweep the women's.
What about gymnastics?
Gymnastic, you got Simone
Biles.
Yep.
Yeah, she's
We're
got
going to win the medal count.
Yeah.
The U.S. will win the medal count.
guaranteed.
Oh.
Yep.
You're making that statement right now?
Yes.
You're on camera.
I know. I see it right there.
And
The
so
U.S.
put-
will win the medal count
And
in
Poot, you
2021.
could sit there and jam all those needles in your athletes all you want to. Bristol win.
Okay. Oh my God. Is this show gonna air now? I don't even know.
Yes. Yes, it is. Anyways, don't forget to submit your questions on our social media platforms, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all the social media sites. Go on and ask us questions about our next show, which is going to be about what?
Baseball. How it continues to self-implode.
So we're going to talk baseball. Chuck obviously has some strong opinions on that. Chuck will be in the hot seat, so we're kind of looking forward to that one. Eric's had his opportunity. I've had my opportunity now. We're gonna put Chuck in the hot seat.
And you
We
guys
are,
better
we are contractually obligated to let you have the next show.
Isn't that great?
Congratulations.
Gosh, wow. I feel like I have the power. Honestly. Wow. Start my workouts tomorrow and everything. Ooh, I can't wait.
Wow.
Yes,
Want to thank everybody for tuning in for this show here. My name is Mike Perkins, and to my left is Eric Pesolano. To the right is Chuck Laser Lasik, and we've been coming in hot.